Hello. So today I wanted to talk to you about types of angles. So we have five types of angles that we'll look at. And so first and foremost, when it comes to angles though, one thing to note is that generally they are measured in a measurement called degrees. And I'm telling you that now. We'll talk more about measurements of angles later on. But I'm telling you that because that's how we're going to define these types of angles. So I mentioned before that most people just think they're just three, but really we have five. And honestly, I've heard a lot of times people talk about a sixth one, um, which I'll mention at the end as well. But first and foremost, we have the three that most people think about when they hear types of angles. They think about acute, right, and obtuse. And they think about these three because these are the ones that they learn most of their life or that they're used to seeing. Honestly, most times people don't think about a straight angle, although they know what it is, and generally people are more familiar with straight, acute, and right angles when it comes to asking someone to draw them. But regardless of that fact, let's just look at each one of these individually and just kind of talk about it. So, an acute angle is an angle in which the measurement is less than 90 degrees. Acute is less than 90. So a lot of times people think of acute because it's like, oh, it's a cute little angle because it's small. It's smaller than 90 degrees or less than 90 degrees. And so it's called acute. Um, so the second one would be a right angle. And this word right actually comes from another definition we have for this angle. We call it sometimes orthogonal, or we say it's normal. This is all because orthogonal means a right cut. But anyway, we generally just call it a right angle, and it is exactly equal to 90 degrees. That's because if I'm standing straight up from the ground, I form a 90-degree angle to the ground. I am perpendicular to the ground. It's another word that some of you may have heard before. But all of those have to do with a 90-degree angle being formed, or a right angle. So a right angle is equal to 90 degrees. Okay. So the third angle that most people are used to is obtuse. Obtuse is greater than 90 degrees. So it is much larger than 90 degrees. Is it larger than 180 degrees? No. Obtuse is actually between 90 and 180. So an obtuse angle is one that is greater than 90. Sometimes people think of obtuse being kind of like obese because it's a little larger. Um, I try to stay away from that, but that's just the way that I've heard a lot of people remember it. So I'm giving that to you as well, maybe a way that you remember it. But obtuse objects are generally a little out of place. And so with acute, this was something that could be commonly seen. With the right, this is exactly what we want. Usually we want a right angle because it's easier to work with. And especially when people were using these for the first time, most time they were using acute and they were using right. And that was it. Because an acute angle, one group of people, they were obsessed with acute triangles. We'll talk about triangles later. And they were obsessed with perfect ones, and so they always had 60 degrees on them. And so this was something they used a lot, and then they realized they could build a lot of things with right angles. When it came out to, it's like we can make that, but we have no use for it until much later on. And then people found a use for it, so there it was. But it still looked just like, oh, that looks kind of weird. Why do we have that? So an obtuse angle, and then we have a straight angle, which is equal to 180 degrees. Now, the reason this is called a straight angle because it will lay a perfect flat surface. 180 degrees will lay a perfect flat surface. Also, if you're going straight from one point to another, that will be a flat surface perfectly. So it'll be 180 degrees. Now, notice that when we have two right angles, when we put them together, 90 plus 90 will give you 180. So two right angles put together will give you one straight angle. Well, if you're thinking about again how they name these, we take two rights, two things that are completely correct will be on the straight and narrow path. Uh, that's not really a joke. That's really where we get these wordings from. You can Wikipedia and look at all these different things that people have written about them, but generally speaking, you will see that we have our straight angle, and it comes from our two right angles put together. Sometimes people go the other way. When they took a straight angle and they cut it just right, they got two 90-degree angles, so they call it right. So the two go hand in hand with one another, and you will see that if you want to look at some your research on your own or whatnot. The last one is called a reflex angle. Now this one you go greater than 180 degrees. So if you were, for example, were to bend something, you would start off generally at 180 degrees, and then you would bend it down. And so that angle that would be formed out here would be greater than 180, because when it was straight, you bend it down, it becomes 180. Now notice how the inside of that can be obtuse, it could be acute, it could be even a right angle if you wanted to. But the reflex is all based off your point of view. So there's another angle inside of here, which would be an acute, a right, or obtuse. But on the outside is a reflex to that angle. It goes against it, it's opposite of it. Now, the reason why it's going to be opposite of it, in a sense, is because no matter what, if you bend something all the way back around, it comes back to 80 degrees, right? 180 degrees. So if it's 180 degrees on a flat surface up here, that means it's 180 degrees down here as well. And so many of you are probably saying, oh, well, isn't that just a complete rotation? Yes, it is. And a complete rotation is 360 degrees. There's also a special shape that we form when we do a full rotation, and that shape is a circle. And we will talk about circles more later on. But so for a reflex angle, it's the reflex we get from the angle inside here, so that we still have 360 degrees, or a complete rotation, or a full circle. Now, sometimes people argue that a circle would be, or a complete rotation would be another type of these angles, which I completely understand that, and I agree. I mean, anytime you have an angle, you start off at one position and you move up. So we have acute, we go straight up and down where it's perpendicular to it. We get a right angle of 90 degrees. We go a little bit further, it's now greater than 90 degrees, we get obtuse. We go all the way until it's completely flat. Then we have a straight angle. Then we bend it a little bit more, and we get a reflex, and then we come back to where we started. We're at a complete rotation. We're at a 360 degrees. We've done a complete circle, and then we can keep going from there. Well, want to just start all over again? So I can completely understand why a full rotation or a complete circle would be included in this list of angles. So those are the 6 types of angles, and we'll be looking at lots of things involving them throughout this course. Again, an acute angle is one that is less than 90 degrees. A right angle is one that is equal to 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is one that is greater than 90 degrees. A straight angle is one that is equal to 180 degrees. And a reflex angle is one that is greater than 180 degrees. That's types of angles, and I'll see you soon.